Shri Guru Charanha Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Shri Guru Charanha Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Bando Mohi Savadana Mate Bando Mohi Savadana Mate Yahara Prashad Hai Bhai E Baba Toriya Jai Prashad Hai Yahara Prashad Hai Bhai E Baba Toriya Jai Krishna Prapti Ho Jaha Hoite Krishna Prapti Ho Jaha Hoite Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chichite Koriya Kya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chichite Koriya Kya Arana Koriya Mane Asha Shri Guru Charan Hai Rati Aise Uttama Gati Ye Prashade Purne Sarva Asha Chakshadandi Lode Jame Jame Prabhu se Chakshadandi Lode Jame Jame Prabhu se Dive Gyan Hite Prantashito Dive Gyan Hite Prantashito Prema Bhaktiya Hoite Adida Vinasa Jate Prema Bhaktiya Sati Gora Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Chaitanya Nityananda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Radhanatha Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo.
Acharya, Astar Sashishmat, His Divine Sarvabhauma, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada Maharaj Ki, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahams Parvadacharya, Astar Sashishmat, His Divine Grace ISKCON Founder Acharya, BVD Founder Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahams Parvadacharya, Astar Sashishmat, His Divine Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Govaka Vinod Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Rup Sri Sanatana Bhakta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Dasar Raghunath Satguru Swami Ki Shri Shri Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Nilachal Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Tulasi Devi, Bhakti Devi, Brinda Devi, Maharani Ki, Shri Radha Goloka, Shri Radha Radhanath Ki, Radha Golokananda Ki, Gonatai Ki, Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Lakshmi Nrsimha Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki, Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki, Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, all glorious to Sumal devotees, all glorious to Sumal devotees. All glories to the Sumal devotees. All glories, Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Hare Krishna to one and all. Thank you for joining us for today's Sunday Love Feast program. For those of you all that have come to the Sunday Love Feast program for the very first time, and to those of you all that attend the Sunday Love Feast program regularly, a very warm welcome to one and all. Thank you, Mataji, for rendering such a beautiful kirtan, and to our kirtan team. Thank you. That was a lovely kirtan. So during the course of our program, we will have a form that is going around from the service engagement team. We all have a talent and a skill that we have been blessed with. And for those of you all that would like to take this skill or talent and use it in the service of Lord Krishna, there is a clipboard going around where you could put your name and your details and send it to the team, and they will suggest to you or nicely slot you in for service for Lord Krishna. So it is my honor and privilege in introducing our speaker for today, Her Grace Bhaktin Rohini. A huge round of applause to her. So Rohini Mataji is actually very blessed because she has been born into the Hare Krishna movement, and from a very young girl she has been serving Lord Krishna. She is currently also serving in the service engagement team and is part of the youth group. She is a software developer, and for those of us that know her, we know that she's a very enthusiastic, vibrant, lovely young devotee that's always inspiring everyone, especially the youngsters in ISKCON. So I will now hand you all over to Her Grace Bhaktin Rohini. Hare Krishna. A humble request to please switch off cell phones or turn them to silent mode. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me? It's okay. We'll start with Jai Radha Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pashistade Satarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Everyone, welcome to today's Sunday Love Feast. Disclaimer, it's the first time I'm doing a class, so I humbly ask you for your blessing so I can do the service nicely for the Lordships. Today's topic is very broad, but very, very relevant. It's women in ISKCON. And if you look at this yatra, it's very much an understatement to say that it's very rich with empowered Vaishnavis. You just look around, you see our book distributors, our brahmacharis, and many, many more. And they're all inspiring, and my laptop went off. Yeah, so today's topic is not only women in ISKCON, but how, as you, as individuals, how can you stay empowered as a woman in ISKCON? what is empowerment? How do I get it? How do I keep it? All very relevant, and it's very hard to navigate yourself in this material world. The purpose of life is for us to just reestablish our relationship with Lord Krishna and just break the cycle that we're in, constant birth and death. And it's very hard to kind of commit sometimes, and that's because we live in a material society. And the material society is run by humans. And humans, we know, are imperfect. All of us have imperfect senses. And therefore, if society is imperfect, the principles it teaches us naturally is imperfect as well, right? So now we're going to look at society's views of women and if they align with Krishna's vision. Because we have on one side, we have imperfect society. And how are we applying imperfect principles to a perfect vision? So that's what we're going to look into today. So do we have a mic, a roaming mic anywhere? I'd like to ask a question. How does society define woman? Anyone? Do we have a? Or we can just talk loudly. How are women defined in today's society? By society, yes. Anyone? Anyone can be general, very general things. That's okay. We consider too emotional. We need to tolerate. We have to tolerate. Bit sensitive. All these lists of things. Not able to do certain jobs as efficiently. Yeah. Does that resonate with you? No response. No resonance. But these are the things that we're told. And even though we are devotees, well, we might not be devotees, but even though we are aspiring to look for some spiritual shelter, we try to apply the societal views, these imperfect views, to our Krishna consciousness. Can you see the conflict? There's conflict, right? How can we apply this to a perfect vision? So let's go into what Krishna thinks. We're trying to impress Krishna. You have to know what he thinks, right? So Srila Prabhupada actually tells us that when we seek out knowledge in Krishna consciousness, when we study, we have to be a lawyer. We have to scrutinizingly study each line of scripture. And we must ask questions if we don't know we're confused, right? So do you feel women empowerment, ISKCON, is that a blur to you? You're not really sure what Krishna's opinion on it is? Or have we asked the questions? So we're going to dig deep into that. So I have this book here. I don't know if you know, Devaki Devi Dasi came down to South Africa earlier in the year, Rath Yatra. And we got some real nectar from her. She's a very empowered Vaishnavi. And if you don't have this book, she on YouTube, she has seminars on this book. And it basically is spiritual culture. How are women engineered? How are we engineered? What makes us tick? And how do we spiritualize it? How do we take these tendencies and these traits, these inherent traits that we have, and apply it to Krishna consciousness so that we can nurture our community, we can nurture each other, empower each other. So I'm just going to read a little bit from here. And we talk about asking questions. I'm going to read something that might be a bit of a shock for you all. But remember, when we're discussing these topics, we must listen submissively, right? We must have that mood. Whenever you start studying scripture, they talk about the mood that you must approach the scripture. You mustn't be challenging. Mustn't be, but he's wrong, but she's wrong. We must try to absorb what's their point of view. How can we understand? Okay, so let's read this. In the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 17, verse 34 to 35, Srila Prabhupada explains the differences between the male and female view, referring to the example of Shiva and Parvati. When she was sitting on Shiva's lap in the association of sages and saints, Chitraketu came flying past in his aeroplane and made some joking remarks which offended Parvati to the point that she cursed him. Here is the difference between a male and a female that exists even in the higher statuses of life. In fact, even between Lord Shiva and his wife, Lord Shiva could understand Chitraketu very nicely, but Parvati could not. Thus, even the higher statuses of life, there is a difference between the understanding of a male and that of a female. It may be clearly said that the understanding of a woman is always inferior to the understanding of a man. Srila Prabhupada does not say that any woman's understanding is inferior to any man. This would not make sense. However, if a man and a woman are of the same caliber with similar status, advancement, and commitment to devotional life, like Shiva and Parvati, who are both not an ordinary man and woman, then a woman's understanding is always inferior to that of a man because of her tendency to be emotional, which clouds her vision and existence. This happened to Parvati, who is the eternal consort of Lord Shiva. Now Devaki Devi Dasi is saying, it took me many years to not only swallow Srila Prabhupada's comments, but actually accept them deep within my heart. The more we identify with the body, gross and subtle, the harder it is to accept Srila Prabhupada's words. The entity that rebels the most is nothing but the false ego. After Shiva instructed Parvati, she felt foolish, covering her face and with the headpiece of a sari in embarrassment. Surely most women have some practical experience in this principle of life, where we overreact due to our emotions taking over, and we say or do exactly what we shouldn't be doing or saying. This is the effect of emotions clouding the intelligence. It is helpful for the woman to understand that this nature is simply part of their vehicle, and thus we learn to deal with it and recognize it without taking it too seriously. A helpful tool is not to pass judgments and decisions when we are strongly affected by emotions, but rather wait for the next day to bring a clearer view to things. For men, it is also important to understand the emotional nature of a woman, so they can give protection and care by reassuring a woman in saying, don't worry, we'll work it out. Her tendency to be emotional is not a reason for a man to make fun of her, disrespect her, or neglect her. Good to remember that we are all raised and cared by emotional mothers, including the men. Okay, so that's what. It's powerful, right? And it also takes a bit of a second to absorb, especially if you haven't come across this point before. And so let it absorb and let it sink. And these topics are covered more in Devaki Devi Dasi's seminars on YouTube, and we should feel empowered by it. There is a certain reason why we are engineered as women how we are, and just like men have their role in society, without women there is also a significant role that we play in society, but it's a different role, right? So we have to understand this, in Krishna consciousness. There's no inferior, you shouldn't think of it in a negative light. We just have different roles, different tendencies, different strengths, different weaknesses. So we can take and absorb this, and really, once we understand this, we can nurture our community, we can nurture our children, we can nurture our siblings, our spouse, and really shine as a Vaishnavi. So we're talking about the different ways societies views us, and this was talking about being too emotional. And there are various, would you say, qualifications that define a woman, right? Society is a world full of qualifications. You have to study to matriculate, then you get a qualification. You only can go to university if you have that qualification. And then university, you get your degree, you get your diploma, you go and work. And to get a good job, you have to have experience. You never win, hey? So there's a world full of qualifications. But what is Krishna's opinion on qualifications? Society says, to be qualified as a woman, you have to be A, B, C, D, right? But what is Krishna's qualification? And sometimes we're actually hard on ourselves, right? I must stick into this mold. I have to do it this way or that way. And we're also hard on ourselves, right? So I found this, Srila Prabhupada was in Hawaii in 1969, and he spoke about qualification in Krishna consciousness. And this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9. So this is what he says. So Prahlad Maharaj says, we have already discussed about this, that it doesn't require any qualification to pacify, to please, to satisfy the Lord. You don't require any pre-qualifications. Oh, you have to pass your examination in the university, or you have to become a rich man like Rockefeller or Ford, or you have to become this or that. There's no condition. If you want to love Krishna, there is no check. There is no check. The road is opened. Simply, you have to become sincere. That is all. When Krishna will clear the way. And if there is no sincerity, then Krishna's Maya is there. He's always, or she's always, put some stumbling block. Not this, not this, not this. So Prahlad Maharaj decided that although I am a child, I have no education. I have no studies of the Vedas. And I'm born of an atheistic father, low-born. So all bad qualifications. So God is worshipped by the highest intellectual persons, offering Vedic hymns, and Brahmanas highly cultured. So I have no qualification, but still all these demigods who are so highly elevated in their position, they have requested me. That means God can be pacified even by me. Otherwise, how can they recommend me? So whatever qualification I have got, whatever intelligence I have got, I may offer to Krishna. Therefore, this Krishna consciousness is like that. That whatever qualification you have got, that is sufficient. You begin with that qualification. You try to serve Krishna with your qualification, because real qualification is your feeling of service. Yeah? That is real qualification. So you develop that feeling, not your external qualification, not your beauty, not your knowledge, nothing of that. These things have no value. So now we know Krishna's opinion, Srila Prabhupada's opinion on qualification is that we don't need to stick in this mold. Yes, we have guidelines as Vaishnavis, what we must do and what we must not do. And that's all relevant. You study and you understand. You know, if there's confusion in, why am I doing this? Why do I have to do this? That's not fair. Society tells me something else. First, you must talk to Krishna. In his books, you must go to Srila Prabhupada's books, ask for mercy to understand what he's saying, and we learn and we empower ourselves through knowledge. We empower ourselves and we make informed decisions when we understand Krishna's stance. Yeah. So that is one way to empower yourself, is to seek out knowledge. First, you must understand what you don't understand. And when you understand what you don't understand, then you seek for understanding. Yeah. Okay, so that's one way. Another way to empower yourself. So I went to, when I was younger, I went to a lot of courses on leadership. And the common thing that they say is that change management is very hard. Change management, as a leader, or even in your personal space, when you're looking at yourself, change management is how, as a person, do you deal with change, right? And it's very hard. Now we're talking about how hard we are on ourselves. How do we change to be kinder to ourselves, right? Sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. We say, I have no qualification to do this service. This devotee is too big to talk to. There's no such thing as small, big devotee. There's no such thing as this service is more important than that service. All the qualification you need is to be sincere, right? But how do we change that mindset? That mindset, this change management is such a difficult thing, especially, do you know why it's so difficult? It's because it's not difficult for the youth, okay? Because youth, they're learning for the first time. You know, they're absorbing this knowledge for the first time. But when you look at elders, they have a routine. For 30, 40 years, they've been thinking, okay, I must be hard on myself. I must get qualification. I mustn't go talk to my guru. I'm too shy. And they're in this routine. And the reason why they struggle so much, because it's harder to unlearn something and relearn something. It's easy to learn something, but then when you're in a routine and you've been thinking the same thing over and over again, very hard to unlearn. Yeah. So there is violence and there's abuse in talking down on yourself, right? Being hard on yourself, saying, oh, Rohini, you're so silly. Like, why did you do that? You know, talking down, like putting yourself down. And one thing they say in change management is that just like how it's a habit to belittle yourself, you must make it a habit to say positive things about yourself in your head. So every day, I know it's a bit cringy, I used to say, you say, I love you, Rohini, right? Because when you say you love yourself, it means you accept yourself for all your flaws and your mistakes. You must remember, Srila Prabhupada made this home, ISKCON, and it's a learning center. So to learn, it is natural to make mistakes. How can you learn if you don't make mistakes? So this mindset, you just need to be kinder to yourself. That's another way to empower yourselves. So don't be too hard on yourself and, say kind words to yourself, motivate yourself, challenge yourself, step out of your comfort zone. So that's another way to empower yourself. But now we've learned how to empower ourselves through our own endeavors. We first seek out knowledge, and then we also are kind to ourselves. But how do we now empower ourselves with somebody else's help? Anybody have an idea? How do we empower ourselves through someone else? Shy crowd. Yes, Rose Mataji? Rules of the house. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Anyone else? Thank you, Mataji, for the contribution. I think the main thing is devotee association. Jai Shri Radharadhana Taki. The power of devotee association. It's very powerful. And it's not a shallow thing. If you're experiencing shallow devotee association, you're doing it wrong. It's a very potent thing. It's a very potent thing. I shouldn't read my notes. So it's a very powerful devotee association. And when Keshava Maharaj was down, he had his morning classes and he spoke about devotee association. And he spoke about sadhu sangha and what is sadhu sangha. And interestingly enough, he said, sadhu sangha is actually the association of senior devotees. It's not sitting next to your friend. Did you see the Marvel movie that came out recently? What did you think about it? No, that's not, we're both devotees, but not devotee association. Senior devotees, associating with senior devotees is what is important. And usually you find a senior devotee, Maharaj says, that is like-minded to you. a little bit advanced, more advanced than you, and like-minded. And you take shelter of them. And you really absorb what they're saying to you. Sometimes we come to the temple and we play the Haribol sequence game. Do you know the Haribol sequence game? You come in the temple, you say, Haribol Mataji, Haribol Prabhu, Haribol Mataji, Haribol Mataji, Haribol, Haribol. Sometimes we throw in, how are you? I'm fine, I'm just carrying on. Just carrying on. But that's not absorbing devotee association. This Dham, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath, is such a golden opportunity for us to live and to come and visit the lordships. We are actually so lucky that we are able to take darshan from them. And even more lucky, we have all these devotees, all these senior devotees, all these devotees aspiring for spiritual advancement. My mom had a lecture last week at Namata, and she spoke on chapter 2 on the Bhagavad Gita. It was verse 60 to 68. And she spoke about the qualities of a devotee. And she compared this to a rasgulla. So a rasgulla is always oozing out syrup continuously. And just like a rasgulla, you must think of Krishna and continuously ooze out love for Krishna. Isn't that beautiful? Continuously, just ooze out love. So if you find a senior devotee that's naturally oozing out this nectar, this love for Krishna, what you need to do? Just go stand next to her. Just go stand next to her. And all the syrup that is going and oozing out of her, you're going to absorb it. But you must be open for that absorption. You must be a fluffy rasgulla. You must absorb it and really take in that devotional, that association. Yeah. So I'll give you a guideline, 4-step guideline of how to approach a senior devotee. Okay? So first, you go to a senior devotee, say Hare Krishna, Mataji. And you ask her, what is your favorite service? Right? What is your favorite service? 1. 2, how did you get taste for that service? 3, you take a number down. And 4, you ask her, if there's any service that you have for me, please engage me in the service. So you absorb this devotee association and you really take, the secret of a spiritual advancement is devotee association. The potency is actually unreal. The love that, just loving Krishna just makes our devotees glow, right? Yeah. So, but staying empowered 100% of the time is very hard, right? If you have a graph, how empowered I am versus time, it's not going to be constant. Do you all feel empowered 100% of the time? Always constant, you feel 100% okay? You don't. It's up and down, a little bit sideways. And that's okay. Don't be hard on yourself. It's okay, be kind to yourself. And you know what? You come weekly to Shri Shri Radha Radhanath, you get your injection of devotee association, get your injection of Shri Shri Radha Radhanath. Then you find for the week, and then you come back, you're like, oh, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath, this world, what it does to me. And then you get your injection again, and you're ready for the next week. Yeah, so you take shelter of devotee association. Yeah, so it's not easy to do all these things I'm saying. But we have to be fearless in our love for Krishna, right? And in chapter 16 of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 1 to 3, Krishna lists the transcendental qualities that belong to godly endowed men with divine nature. And the first one he lists is fearlessness. So I'll read the purport that Srila Prabhupada. He explains what this fearlessness is. For a sannyasi, the first qualification should be fearlessness, because a sannyasi has to be alone without any support or guarantee of support. He has simply to depend on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one thinks, after I leave my connections, who will protect me? He should not accept the renounced order of life. One must be fully convinced that Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his localized aspect as Paramatma, is always within, and that he is seeing everything, and he always knows that what one intends to do. One must thus have firm conviction that Krishna as Paramatma will take care of a soul, and a soul surrendered to him. I shall never be alone, one should think. Even if I live in the darkest regions of a forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna, and he will give me all protection. That conviction is called abhayam, fearlessness. This state of mind is necessary for a person in the renounced order of life. So sometimes we spoke about qualification, all these qualifications that we need. And then we said, okay, but Krishna, there's no qualification, you just have to be sincere, you know. But to be sincere and to really trust Krishna, you have to be fearless. You must really trust Krishna. Krishna has the best plan for me. You just have to be sincere. And through all these tools, now I've been through a few tools now. You seek out knowledge. If you don't understand something, you be kind to yourself, and you take shelter of devotee association. And those are the different ways to empower yourself as a Vaishnavi. And this also can be applied to our Prabhus as well, because there's no discrimination. We're all a soul. There's no material designation that we have. We're also trying to reestablish our relationship with the Lord. So with regards to this purport, you're going to say, oh, renounced order of life, sannyasi must be fearless. I'm no sannyasi. You know, I'm not at that level. But you're trying to impress Krishna, right? Krishna says you have to be fearless. And when you want to impress someone, you go, you do it. You be fearless. So you must be fearless. You must be courageous. No service is too big, nothing too small. Dosi Mataji, she sang for the first time today for Aarti, and she has such a beautiful voice. Give her a round of applause. And she does so beautifully. And such a beautiful service. And she was fearless, you know. You must be fearless. Do whatever service you want to, and naturally, you will find out your 5 different relationships, your eternal relationship with the Lord. But you have to take the first step, and then Krishna takes 10 steps towards you. I remember last year, I came for, it was like a department update, temple department update. And Balaram Das Prabhu, see here. Balaram Das Prabhu was there, and he spoke. And, you know, I'm a pretty shy person. And I wanted to ask a question. I was like, oh, asking questions, not for me. And then I looked at Shri Shri Radharanath, and I was like, you know what? Shri Shri Radharanath, Krishna will be proud of me if I ask a question. A very ordinary question. I asked if he can send me the material afterwards so I can review it. But I was like, Krishna will be proud of me, and I put my hand up. And from there, I took one step, and then Balaram Prabhu is in charge of the education department and the initiation department. He was so sincere, and he gave me so much service. And then that was my ticket in devotee, getting the mercy of the devotee. So that's very important. When Keshwa Maharaj was down as well, he had his morning classes, and he asked, how does one become a devotee? Do you know? How does one become a devotee? We must have a mic that's just randomly always rotating. I must say, stop, and then whoever has it, they must answer. Being fearless is also answering questions, right? It's also engaging in these classes. So something to think about in the future, being fearless. But basically, how you become a devotee is the mercy of another devotee. It's a cycle. if you continuously giving Krishna consciousness, it's actually a beautiful thing. Okay, so now we know all these ways to empower ourselves, and it's very beautiful. We can, with this knowledge, we can nurture each other, we can empower each other, we can empower ourselves, we can love ourselves. And really, don't be afraid to ask questions if you're confused. You know, when we come to these lectures, obviously, yes, we are a soul. We have no material designations, but we live in a material world. And there's some confusions. What am I supposed to do? What is right? And now we're modernizing. And as the world reforms, sometimes we change a bit, and sometimes that change is wrong. So we have to preserve what's important, our spiritual culture. And how do we do that? We study. We study and we really absorb. So yeah, that is our class. Jai Shri Prabhupada, the key. I know I finished a bit early, but we can do questions. We can do questions, is that okay? Can we do questions first and then, is that fine?
Yes, Hare Krishna. We do have a few minutes for questions. Is there anyone that has any questions?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks for an awesome class. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm wondering, please, everyone forgive my ignorance and naivete if you already know the answer to this question, but in the spirit of Women's Month, could you enlighten me or guide me as to how does one obtain the mercy of Srimati Radharani? And what's our thought process, what's our mind, what should be going through our mind when we pray to her, and how do we apply it at work or at home throughout the day? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So Srimati Radharani is very merciful. They say to get to Krishna, let's go pray to Srimati Radharani. And Krishna doesn't even understand Srimati Radharani. That's why he came down as Mahaprabhu in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So how do we pray to Srimati Radharani? We're sincere. We're sincere and we really go to her to say, look at me, I'm a fallen soul. And I'm trying to reach to Krishna. I'm trying to get the mercy of Krishna, but I can't do it alone. You know, Srimati Radharani, she's very kind. She's very kind-hearted. And it's just be sincere. I think sincerity. Is there any addition? I might be missing something. Is that okay? Is that okay? Prabhu, is that okay? Just sincerity. If you have sincerity in your heart, Srimati Radharani will give you many opportunities for service, because service is also the key for getting to Krishna. You know, in any relationship, if you have a spouse or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, to get close to them, you must spend time with them. You know, spend time with them, quality time. So pray to Srimati Radharani that please be merciful, please guide me, and please give me a recommendation letter so that I can get the right service, so I can serve Krishna through my strengths. Yes, that's good. Is that okay? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay.
We have a question.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, you emphasize a lot on sincerity. My question is sincerity enough? Or there's something like Prabhupada said that follows sincerity? Because each and everyone here has a degree of some sincerity, but sometimes sincerity tends to become stagnant. And then, so where do one go from there? Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for the question. So yes, what else can we do other than sincerity? Is you trust Krishna, right? So you can be as sincere as you want, but if you don't trust that Krishna has the best intention for you, then it's very much stagnated, sincerity, as you said, right? you're not really going anywhere, and you would find your spiritual life has stagnated. So there's trust. And how do we trust Krishna? Well, we are all aspiring to be a servant of Krishna. And how do we trust Krishna? We continue with life. And then you'll see, if you are sincere to Krishna, he will show you your sincerity as well. You know, he will take, you take one step forward, he takes 10 steps to you. So it's also trusting, having that faith, that shraddha. And this faith, it comes from association, devotee association. When you see the devotee so inspired, they're glowing with love for Krishna, it's very hard not to trust Krishna, because Krishna does so much for the devotees. Is that okay? Krishna, thank you.
I see the Prabhus are fired up for Women's Month.
What happened to fearlessness?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the class. Just taking some inspiration from the topic, women in ISKCON, perhaps you can share some examples of women in ISKCON that have personally inspired you, or past or present, that and their qualities. And
Okay, thank you so much. So first and foremost, my mother, Mahalakshmi Devi Dasi. Yeah. She's so amazing. She teaches Bhakti Shastri. And so you could say I'm so fortunate to really absorb what she's teaching. I can listen in classes, even though I haven't really studied officially, but she's such an inspiration, because she always keeps us absorbed in Krishna consciousness. You know, when we were growing up, the way my parents raised me was they weren't forceful in Krishna consciousness. They just taught us how to love Krishna. And naturally, is there any way wrong? Like, you can't go wrong when you learn to love Krishna first, you know? And she just is basically, she just talks about Krishna all the time. It's constant association. I said devotee association is so important. Some of us are lucky enough to have devotee association 24/7 and just really absorb the nectar that my mom gives me every single day. So firstly, it's my mom, which I really, really appreciate her, and her guidance, and how she, you know, applies everything that I do to Krishna and guides me, gives me advice. That's first. Then I'd say Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Devi Dasi. She's not here today, but she is such an inspiring individual. So I don't know if anyone can resonate with this, but even though I'm born in as a devotee, Krishna consciousness is very much a personal journey, right? And you have to personally decide that I'm going to be serious about this, you know? You can just sit here and you can just absorb what I'm saying, but once you make the conscious decision that this spiritual life, Krishna is important to me, then you'll see how potent Krishna consciousness is. And Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Devi Dasi was that soul that inspired me to take Krishna consciousness seriously, because she empowered me. She empowered me even though I make mistakes, even though I don't understand certain things. She always gave me opportunities to grow. So even if you feel empowered, it's so important to empower others. It's very important to empower others. So yeah, and then we have Priya Kishori. Priya Kishori works in the book office, and she's also glows with sincerity, and such a beautiful devotee that I confide in, and I'm very close to her, and I love her very much. And she always there for me. So even in this yatra, you can see we're so rich with Vaishnavis. You don't have to go too far to really feel empowered, really feel loved, so that you can do your service to your full potential, and hope to do it in your full potential for Krishna's pleasure. Haribol. Is that okay?
Hare Krishna. Are there any other questions? So I would like to give Her Grace, Bhaktin Rohini, a very big round of applause, if everyone can do that. And yes, it is Women's Month, and we've had a beautiful Vaishnavi lead us into Kirtan. We've had another amazing Vaishnavi give us such an amazing class. And up next, we have another very amazing, spectacular, inspiring Vaishnavi. She is part of the executive committee of the Vaishnav Ministry of South Africa. She is a dedicated disciple of His Holiness Indradamya Swami with a rich involvement in ISKCON spanning more than 35 years. Raised in a devotee family, she has played significant roles in the community, including directing cultural programs for the Durban Rath Yatra and serving as the media and liaison officer for ISKCON Durban. Nationally, she holds the position of Communications Director for ISKCON South Africa and also enriches the spiritual community as the Vaishnavi Minister, where she has organized several notable events. Her professional expertise extends to public relations, neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy, and life coaching. I'm sure by now many of you all know who I am speaking about. She's also known for her contributions as a media columnist and a radio personality, and she's represented South Africa at the United Nations Global Conference on the Status of Women in New York. So yes, I am referring to none other than Her Grace Krishnangi Radhe Devi Dasi. So Mataji would also like to do a little presentation for our upcoming events for Janmashtami.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. And once again, a warm welcome to the Sunday Love Feast program. Very interesting class, Rohini. And I'd also like to request you, let's hear it for Rohini one more time. So, as Gopeshwari said, it is in the spirit or in keeping of Women's Day. We had a lovely program on Friday. It's our 11th annual program. But why I'm here is to share something from what Rohini has said in terms of our fearlessness in our devotion for Krishna. And as I was sitting here listening to Rohini's class, I recall that I know Rohini from a young girl, and what she said was that she was raised in Krishna consciousness, just like many of us seated here. But the difference is that when we look at, in terms of Krishna consciousness, and where we're at today, we'd like to promote, showcase, inspire, empower each other. So Rohini has touched on to say that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, yes, that we are all spirit souls. So if we have to look at that, then there's no distinction between men and women, right? Correct? Right? There's no distinction. If we have to look at, to say we are the spirit soul, so then why are we talking about women's empowerment? Why are we having Women's Day? Why should we have this focus? Because we are here in the material realm. So unfortunately, there becomes that distinction between male and female. And here, Srila Prabhupada, our founder, Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, has created a forum for women, Vaishnavi ministry, right? What does that speak to? And I am the head of the Vaishnavi ministry in South Africa. And I was fortunate enough this year, in March of this year, to attend a conference for the status of women at the UN in New York. We went as an 8-team women delegation from ISKCON. And let me tell you, when we went into this forum or this plenary at the UN General Assembly, and there were so many women, men as well, from diverse parts of the world. And when we went in terms of representation of ISKCON, many of the delegates came to ask us, and this is interesting. So they said, well, you are here from, and everybody's networking, everybody's talking and introducing each other. Who are you? Where are you from? Which part of the world? What are you doing here? What sort of work do you do for women? So we said, well, we are from ISKCON. And so they said, what is ISKCON? So we said the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, or we know it as the Hare Krishna movement. And they said, yes, we've heard of that. And then we link it to Food for Life, because everybody knows Food for Life. And they said, yes, we know that. And so we said, our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, actually established ISKCON right here in New York City. And they said, well, it's a man? You are from a faith-based organization? You've got a male Acharya and you're a female delegation? And they were surprised that there was a team of women from across the world representing a faith-based organization at the UN. And our founder was an Indian man who sailed across the ocean coming to New York by himself to establish Krishna consciousness. What did that say? Srila Prabhupada's vision was to have women as leaders of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It was his firm instruction to say that his daughters are equal to everybody else. He did not have a distinction to say that, you know what, the woman cannot go on the altar to offer arti. He did not have a distinction to say the woman cannot sit in the Vyasasana to give class. Srila Prabhupada lived that example, and I have had the association of associating, the pleasure, the privilege of associating with Srila Prabhupada's female disciples who say to me very honestly, and I asked Rukmini Devi when I was with her at this UN, and I said, but what keeps that spark alive? Srila Prabhupada hasn't been with us for so many years. What's keep that spark alive? And she said, his love for every single disciple. And she said to me from her heart that Srila Prabhupada took his disciples as his daughters. And they are living that example. So the Vaishnavi Ministry of South Africa, we have a team of devotees here at the Radharanath Temple as well. With Vaishnava Priya, I'm seeing her here, Gopeshwari Devi, who's also on our team. And I would like to create awareness that ISKCON is a progressive movement. Actually, I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek, because actually we're not progressive. That's how it should be, right? And Srila Prabhupada had set that out years and years ago, even before we had these discussions, these policies, all of these documentation that we now have in terms of equality. Our founder Acharya was a visionary, and we need to follow in his footsteps in order to create those waves. So today, when we were talking about having a class after Women's Day, I said, well, let's empower somebody who's been raised in Krishna consciousness. Let's create that platform where our girls, our youth, our future leaders have that voice and that ability, where we all eventually are seen as those spirit souls, as Lord Krishna says. So that's also a wonderful question where we hear, how do we please Srimati Radharani? And when you go to Vrindavan, the land of Krishna, everybody says, and a little louder, and a little louder. There you go. So that's exactly how you please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by actually calling out Radhe Radhe. And we've just invoked that auspiciousness right here in Sri Sri Radharanath Temple today. So if you feel inclined to find out more about the Vaishnavi ministry, whether you're male, whether you're female, we invite you to come and talk to us. Let's see how we can get involved. Let's see how we can grow the spirit of actually cheering each other on. So much that Rohini has spoke about today is empowerment. How do we empower each other without the distinction? How do we respect each other? How do we curb gender-based violence? How do we speak the language where we can actually surrender to Krishna even more and follow the vision of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada? So that in terms of the Vaishnavi ministry for South Africa, and my part 2 is to invite you as the communications person for the festival that's coming up 24th to 27th August. Devotees, you know these dates already, right? I don't need to tell you that. But as a reminder, 24th to 27th August, I just came from a festival committee meeting. They've been meeting for weeks on end, and it's a bumper festival. Why so, especially this year? It's because Janmashtami falls on a Monday, so we have the weekend before that to celebrate. Saturday, Sunday as well, lots going on. There's a special Havan on Sunday morning that's planned, and devotees at the book table can give you more information on that. A family festival, as you know, and Krishna's birthday party for children on the main day, which is Monday. Laser tag, I believe that's a hit with our children. So I'm just throwing these things out there at you so you find our dates, times, information. Lotus Market as well. And something very, very interesting, right? Any guesses? I'm also inviting you to offer some service. We enjoy the festival, and yes, we should. It's Janmashtami. We should enjoy the festival. This morning, I heard a little clip from His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. And it was so apt because I was actually meditating on how do we engage in terms of devotional service. It's such a bumper festival. And Bhakti Charu Swami had said in this very short clip from a class that devotees actually perform devotional service even in their sleep. And Maharaj went on to say that non-devotees, and there's no real, I'm not making this a huge distinction, but when your mind is engaged and when you are focused, body, mind and spirit in Krishna consciousness, your subconscious mind is your dreams, right, at night. So when you are focusing on something throughout the day, you're dreaming about it as well. So devotees actually dream about devotional service because they're focusing throughout the day on how can I serve Krishna. They're focusing on their japa. They're associating with devotees. All those wonderful aspects Rohini has touched on. So when it comes to devotional service, a person who's not engaged in devotional service during the day perhaps does not have dreams about devotional services at night. But a person who's engaged fully in their consciousness actually even performs devotional service in their sleep. So this is one way that Maharaj actually says we should aspire to become that devotee who even in their sleep subconsciously says, how can we serve Krishna? So the festival committee has said a few ways. One way is that there's so many different departments get involved in something. Another way is apparently I've heard we are running short of people, volunteers, devotees to come and help in terms of prasadam preparation, in terms of vegetable cleaning, preparing the prasadam. Why so? Because this year we are preparing for over 35,000 guests over that period of time. So that takes a lot of hands before the time to have everything ready and organized. And the festival team will be down at the prasadam area to actually, you can engage with them. And the third thing, which is actually very, very important, is our fundraising. And that, in terms of our donations, in terms of cash or kind donations, the festival committee is appealing to us again to say, if you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who could give the temple something, we appreciate it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to say, you know what, I'm going to do this from my donation or so on. But let's spread the word. Let's create this hope, this positivity. It's going to be a wonderful festival, not forgetting our midnight arti. And I have to include, we're going to have the beautiful voice of Sachi Devi Dasi, or if we may know her from the airwaves, Shashika Murat. She's an initiated devotee of ISKCON. She's going to be performing on our main stage on Janmashtami evening. So, we've got Ravindra Swarup. So we've got a beautiful lineup. We've got Olika Devi and her team of dancers that's going to be dancing for the pleasure of the devotees, for the pleasure of Krishna on Janmashtami. So many things. And the Lotus Market itself is filled also with devotee entrepreneurs. And let's come in our numbers and support these devotees as well. So on that note, I'm going to hand back to Gopeshwari. And thank you all for listening so attentively to Rohini. It was a beautiful, beautiful class, and we hope to hear more from you. Let's hear it for Rohini. Hare Krishna.
And another big round of applause to Krishangi Radhe Mataji. Thank you, Mataji, for those very valuable announcements, dates, and I'm sure we are all feeling very fired up after hearing Krishangi Radhe address us. We fired up for Krishna Janmashtami. There is so much happening. We are about to commence Aarti. Aarti will commence in a few minutes. If you can kindly bear with me, I have a few important announcements to make. It is that time of the year with so much of festivities, festivals, celebrations happening. So Gita Week is on the 20th to the 25th of August, a very auspicious week indeed. And Gita wisdom spoken by Sri Krishna, the Emperor of Sweetness, will be presented by His Grace Nrishingananda Das and Her Grace Madhuri Dasi. Shri Radha Radhanath ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So this Gita week will be presented from Tuesday to Friday from 5:30 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 4 p.m. This is over Gita week, the 20th to the 25th. Each chapter, and there's 18 in total, will be discussed in 15 minutes. Learn the bhajan, Madhurastikam, which describes Krishna's sweetness. You have to register to attend this, so please take this opportunity. Krishangi Radhe Mataji did mention the Mahayagya and the Maha-Abhishek that will be happening. So please go to the front foyer if you would like more information. Friday the 16th is Ekadasi, so please a reminder to observe Ekadasi. Also, it is the Julan Yatra that begins on the 16th. Julan Yatra begins on the 16th. Come in at 7 p.m. for Gaura Aarti and take the opportunity to swing their lordships. And this festival ends on Monday at midday. On Monday the 19th is also Shri Balaram Purnima, the appearance day of Lord Balaram. So this program starts at 4:30 at Mangalarti, and there's also a midday program. So please do join us for this program on Monday. The Bhaktivedanta College of Education and Culture runs online classes. For anyone interested, please take a prospectus from the front. Also, a very, very important announcement. This year, the Janmashtami part of the program is a 4-part challenge. You're going to embark on a transformative journey of spiritual growth through a 4-part challenge. This comprehensive program can be followed in any order. So there's 4 parts to this challenge, and there's a gift that will be given to everyone that completes it. It's 108 steps of mantra meditation, beginning by committing to 108 steps of mantra meditation. Then there's Krishna storytelling. Immerse yourself in the timeless wisdom of Krishna's pastimes. Floating candles is the 3rd part. Say a prayer as you release your candle onto the water of our beautiful moat downstairs. Reflect on your intentions, hopes, and dreams. And watch the moonlight reflecting on the gentle ripples in the water as you let go of your candle and your worldly worries. And the last part is an exhibition onto the life of the hero of our heart, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and there is a part of that where we will go through all his memories. There is a special gift for all participants, so please do join us for that. And as Krishangi Radhe Mataji said, we do need a lot of hands on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for Prasad. So thank you once again. I'm sorry for taking up some time, but there are so much of announcements and so much of things happening at this time of the year. May we all rise for Aarti. Thank you for attending the program, and safe travels back home. Hare Krishna.